We are a group of friends, bound by our appreciation for liberty and good podcasting. Free-minded thinkers from all walks of life, our values come together with one accord to discuss the common culture and news of the day, along with whatever random crap is going on in our lives. Welcome to the Union of the Unknowns.
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Union of the Unknowns. I'm very happy to be here with my good friends, Ashley. Think, Change, Repeat. How are you going?
Hello, I'm doing very well. I'm excited to be here with you fine people.
It's always a pleasure. And Big Perm, always a pleasure to see you too, mate. How are you?
It's always great to hang out with you guys. Happy to be here.
Excellent. Thanks for joining, and thanks for joining in the chat too, you guys. Always good to see you. Today we are having the pleasure of Bettina Engler joining us. She is a fierce activist, has been for quite a number of years, through the COVID days with the World Wide Freedom Rallies, and also very heavily involved in the geoengineering, banning geoengineering preferably, in the Canada movement. And she'll tell us all about that stuff. I met Bettina through Jim Lee's Climate Viewer Telegram group around about a year ago now, and we've become friends. So I'm very happy to introduce Bettina, and happy to hear all about your history and what you're up to right now, Bettina. Do you want to tell us? So you're originally from Germany. Welcome, by the way. You're originally from Germany, and you're now residing in Canada.
Correct. Yes, that's right. Yes, I'm in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada, on the west coast. Well, not quite on the coast, but on the west side of Canada.
Right. Not too far from me. I'm in Seattle.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, Vancouver is only an hour away, so I'm still 4 hours away from Vancouver. But yes, not far away. That's true. Yeah.
Right. So you've been at this for quite a number of years, Bettina. You were responsible for those brilliant worldwide freedom rallies through the COVID days. Do you want to fill us in a little bit about that? Tell us how long you've been at this and what made you go into this field of work, so to speak, this movement.
Yeah, the movement. So I was actually a part of the Kelowna Freedom Movement. A friend of mine started the Freedom Rallies back in 2020, right in the beginning, March of 2020, when we all already instantly knew that's a hoax, that's bullshit. Pardon my language. So he started the Freedom Rallies, and I joined the Kelowna Freedom Movement. We started off really, really small, 6, 7, 8 people, that kind of thing. And then it all of a sudden grew quite significantly. So the Freedom Rallies really brought a lot of attention to Kelowna, and so many people then joined the movement, joined the rallies, and came to see us and what we have to share. And then it was at the end of 2020, I was thinking, I had this vision and a dream of a 24-hour rally. That was actually the beginning of my dream. So, yeah, and I was just like, yeah, but I'm not connected enough. I don't know enough people. I mean, I did know the Kelowna people, but I didn't know enough people in Canada or around the world that would like to join me and, have a similar kind of idea or spirit or that kind of thing. So, but anyway, so then I reached out to the Kelowna leader, obviously. So his name is David, and David, like I say, without him, the Canadian freedom movement would not have been what it was or what it still is, because he did his part in the freedom movement is significant. But anyway, so I reached out to him and I said, hey, would you be interested in a worldwide or at least an international kind of event that I then found on Telegram, someone in Germany, so from a German group. So I'm kind of connected certainly to my home country and the people in Germany and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden I came across on Telegram, a post, somebody posted worldwide demonstration. And I'm like, oh, That's actually what I always wanted, a worldwide rally, right? A worldwide event, 24 hours, because worldwide, right? When we travel around the globe, that's 24 hours. That's
Go big.
Yeah, no kidding, right? And that was exactly what I wanted. So I reached out to them first before I actually connected with David in Kelowna, and they invited me. So well, it was like I say, it was a group of people in Germany, and so we spoke German about it and all that kind of stuff. So it was easy to share our visions and our ideas. And so and then we ended up, so we formed this international team. So I was one of the first that actually joined that worldwide demonstration team. And then and once we kept on talking and talking and talking, and then it like I say, it came a little bit closer to the first big event, which was on March the 20th of 2021. And I still haven't heard from anybody in Kelowna. I was like, what the heck? Is nobody actually interested in what's going on? So, and join this beautiful, I don't know, kind of really amazing big event and so on. So, but anyway, so slowly then David kind of replied back to me and got back to me, and then we just started discussing, and then I said, so this is what's going on. So he was still running his own show, his own rallies, but I jumped on with the Worldwide Rally. And so when we started discussing this big giant event, then I said to the people in Germany, I said, you know what, but we should rename this, because it's not a demonstration here in Canada. The US and Canada, we don't demonstrate, we rally, right? So and then actually it was renamed to the Worldwide Rally. So the three separate terms, Worldwide Rally. And so this is how we then kind of launched this first event. And so Kelowna obviously was then finally interested, and we it was a giant rally. It was really, really big. So many local organizers from across the country, so from across Canada, reached out to us, and so it became very, very popular. And then all of a sudden, the first worldwide, like I say, was the March 20th of 2021. We had already 25 locations across the country, which we listed under the umbrella or under the banner of the Worldwide Rally. So there were, in each province, there were several locations that ran their rallies, and they all were provided with a poster, that was kind of the signature of the Worldwide Rally, with their background image they wanted for their individual location. I don't know, it's some sort of a landmark or something, then their time and venue and all that kind of stuff. And then it got uploaded into a big giant. It was over 100,000 people in the Worldwide Rally Telegram channel, which was not a chat group, but it was a channel. So all the individual locations from all around the world were listed on that channel, and then on a website as well, and all that kind of stuff. So we had 25 locations in the English-speaking part of of Canada, and then on top of that, 28 in Quebec. So that was a huge, really huge rally just right from the beginning, and tens of thousands of people joined this movement. It was just, I've got goosebumps right now.
It was a mighty effort. Yeah, incredible.
It was absolutely incredible. And so we moved on, and so this and how it worked actually, and Stella, you might have seen the Worldwide Rally also in Australia. There were lots of locations in Melbourne and Sydney and all over the place. Yeah. So and I know certainly the organizer of the Australian rallies. And so, and this is how it works. So Philippines, obviously, and Australia, they kicked it off. They started the rally, and then it traveled all around the globe, and then it hit the east coast of Canada with Newfoundland, Labrador, which is far east, and it's 5 time zones away from where I am.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we've got 5 time zones here in this country. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so it started from Newfoundland, Labrador, all the way Ontario, Quebec, obviously, Quebec, Ontario, then Saskatchewan, and Manitoba first, sorry, and then Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, all the way through from the east to the west. And so we were the final destination together with Vancouver and a few others, certainly in British Columbia. And then the final destination of the World Wide Rally was Honolulu, Hawaii.
Nice place to finish.
Yes, yeah. So this is how this whole thing works, or worked. So we traveled around the globe with our World Wide Rally banner, and then after that, so every 6 to 8 weeks, we again showed up, and so we started a new rally, a new World Wide Rally 6 weeks later, and all this. So this is how it works, and I managed to, and I actually, my comment after the first World Wide Rally, I was so exhausted. I fell asleep. I was invited to an after rally party, and like I say, even the Kelowna rally was quite big. I mean, we were. Kelowna is not such a big city. It's only 130,000 people in that city, but this rally was already over 1,500 people. So we were kind of hippie. Oh, that's kind of cool. So anyway, and I was invited after that to a after rally party, and I was zonked. I was just like, what the heck are you guys talking about? Yeah, fool. Yeah, I was so tired. And then I was so happy, because it was such a huge movement, and you could feel the earth shaking. You could feel it, the energy there, and you could feel the vibration, and you could feel the good vibes, certainly the bad vibes, because it was all during lockdown crap. And so we could feel the earth shaking. So that was really something else. It was so beautiful. We had lots of good speakers, and I had Rainer Füllmich on screen, and the German lawyer. So that was quite something else. It was really absolutely incredible. And like I say, then I was saying, hey, that I only want to do one. So that's it. And then I ended up managing and organizing 7. 7 rallies. And then
mighty effort.
Yeah, no kidding. And then the 22nd of January, that was our biggest rally ever. So we managed to, and this was actually, there's a cute story to this. So we organized these rallies right through with a team. It was not just me, it was a team, and the local organizers, of their own rallies and stuff. But anyway, so my team, we always got together just a day or two before we launched the rally in Canada. So before we kicked it off. And I was like, look at this. We have, except for one, all provinces and all the territories. And that was kind of, too bad. But then we finished our call. We said goodbye, good luck, and everything. We finished our call. I opened up my emails, and the last province came in. So we had all of Canada. We featured 36 locations, all of Canada, plus and so including the territories. So all provinces and the North Territories, right? There is 3. So we had them all. And that was huge. That was so big for us. It was massive, this rally. It was absolutely massive. And that was the day before the truckers' convoy rolled out from BC and took on its journey down to Ottawa. So we kickstarted the truckers' convoy. What a show. It was absolutely fantastic.
Amazing. Stella, before we move on, can I just ask a really quick question of Bettina? So Bettina, one of the questions, this is a very special story. I'm really glad that, that you're sharing that with us. And I wanted to say that our friend in the chat said that the trucker convoy changed his entire perspective on the world transformational event. So I just wanted to share that with you. He is also a fellow Canadian. And but I had a question for you, because in today's day and time, we have seen a lot of people try to put together a movement and really make something happen. But we also see people trying to hijack that movement. They're trying to derail that movement. And we also have, this kind of interesting time where we're supposed to be able to protest, but we've seen people who protest have that narrative switched as well. And all of a sudden they're the bad guy, they committed crimes, and they really come down on them with the boot. So I just wanted to talk to you and ask, did you feel that you had anybody trying to subvert your movement? Did you feel, personal fear about what the government was potentially going to do for people who were standing up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, that was a big fear, but quite frankly, it was a little funny in Kelowna too. At the same time, yes, I mean, I'm never scared of stepping up and speaking out. I've done that all my life, so I'm not afraid of saying something. And Stella, you know that, right?
That's my girl. That's my girl.
I know.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm not very fearful. So I'm okay with that. But yes, there were a few people that really, yeah, they had to, well, obviously they had to fear, and there were legal actions taken against them and all that kind of stuff. I was heavily attacked in the World Wide Rally from people that simply didn't appreciate that it wasn't their idea. It was my idea. It was me bringing the World Wide Rally to Canada. It was me starting that movement together with a team, an already existing team. I'm not taking the credit for the worldwide demonstration. I take the credit for the work that I did in Canada. So, but I got heavily attacked from people. They were bashing me. They were publicly just trying. They called me out, demanding me to step down. Bettina, step down from the World Wide Rally. And I'm like, I never went public with anything. I never called anyone out publicly. But I saw all these posts and messages and Facebook live streams and all that kind of stuff, right? Because they were shared with me. It was huge. Yeah, there were a lot of people that didn't like my success. They didn't appreciate my success, and that's yeah. And that
there was a bit of power play going on in just about all the rallies. I think some of it might have been sort of organic, if you can use that word. Some of it, I think, probably also might have been, sort of agent provocateurs, so to speak, that are, thrown in to muddy the organisation and all that. But everybody wants to be the hero, but whether they actually want to put the work in is another thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So yes, and then finally, the World Wide Rally. Unfortunately, someone hijacked the World Wide Rally, and Ashley, you used the word hijacking. Yes, that is definitely going on. This is not just it didn't just go on with the rallies; it also goes on with here, with my Geoengineering Free Canada. I get hijacked. I get hijacked in one way, and certainly. They don't like it. They don't like that I'm successful, right? That it is jealousy. There's lots of jealousy, and people that know me, they know that I'm very well connected. Stella, you know who we are connected to, right? We're connected with Jim Lee. We are connected with the top of the top geoengineering activists. And or I should say anti-geoengineering activists and groups, and people just simply don't like that, right? It's jealousy. Yeah,
it's people not understanding things and not really wanting to put the time and effort into actually understanding things. It's just easier to pull out the knives, isn't it? And just attack and take it, make it personal.
Yeah, exactly. Make it personal, or even if there is something that you don't like, why don't you just approach these people? And it's all a matter of how you approach someone, right? If you
Yeah.
approach, if you don't like something, you can approach this particular person, but do it in a friendly fashion and ask questions and just be polite. You know, it doesn't, I don't have a problem if someone doesn't like what I'm doing or something, but do it respectfully. And if you feel that there is something that you personally don't like about me, don't take it out in public. Do it privately. This is nothing for the public. This is something that between this and me, this person and myself, and unfortunately, that's part of the freedom movement. There is always these things going on. And just recently, Stella, you know what I'm talking about. Somebody heavily attacked me as well, personally, and did it in public. And that is unacceptable. If you don't like it, approach me personally and ask me why or what I meant by whatever, something you didn't like, right? That's how I feel about that.
Now, I thought it was worth mentioning, you are also a photographer, and you took lots of photos through the rallies, etc. Now, you released a book about that, didn't you? Is that right?
I published a book about the convoy. So
right.
Yeah, David and myself, we both together traveled from Kelowna, obviously, to Ottawa, which took us 4.5 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that was on the 13th of February when we hopped on my car and we took a trip down to Ottawa. And before we actually left Kelowna, I was invited to an event to speak about I was still running the World Wide Rally, obviously. So I was invited to speak about the World Wide Rally a little bit. And that was a group in Vernon, which Vernon is about an hour north of Kelowna. So that was already on our way out, because when you look at the map, and you look at Kelowna, which is in the south of British Columbia, obviously, and then Ottawa is on the other side. So you first have to go north, and then you drop down, and then you go east. So that was already a little bit further north. So that was on our way. So I agreed to speak at this event. And this group in Vernon, they collected during there were other speakers invited too, and other speakers were talking about different things and different topics. But anyway, so they collected and gathered and put together an envelope with $2,200 for the truckers. They didn't want to donate this, online, because we all know what happened.
Yeah.
And so they handed an envelope with $2,200 to me and asked me to deliver this to the truckers. And I said, absolutely, we're going to do that for sure. So I took pictures on the way from Kelowna, obviously. So we're actually from Vernon. So there was a send off. They sent us off, and with the World Wide Rally logo on my car, and then we took off, and we were running so late. And the first destination was Medicine Hat, which is in Alberta. So that's the next east province of us.
What's it called? Medicine Hat?
Medicine Hat, yes.
Okay.
That's the city. Yeah, that's the city in Alberta. So that was our first destination. And I took pictures all the way from Vernon, obviously, down to Ottawa with all our destinations. And I took pictures always of the kilometers we drove. And so we ended up, the total kilometers from Kelowna, Vernon to Ottawa and back to Kelowna was over 9,000 kilometers, so almost 10,000 kilometers. And so I took pictures every time we stopped. I took pictures of the kilometers. And so, yes, I did some photojournalism from the convoy. So our first approach, so when we arrived in Ottawa, our first approach to get onto Parliament Hill is from the Ontario side of Ottawa. So Ottawa is obviously Ontario, but you can access Ottawa from the Quebec side. So there's a river going through, and then you just cross the bridge, and then you are in again in Ottawa. So obviously then on Parliament Hill, so you can do that too. But we started in from the Ottawa side, and we were trying to get through. So and this was already blocked off. There was lots of police. There were snipers on the roofs and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and so we were trying to push through, and I have my camera, so I was a little bit concerned about my camera, right? Because I didn't want to end up in a kind of a fight there or anything with a police officer or something. So I was I wasn't really shy, but I was kind of, just stepping back a little bit and watching what's going on. And then I was trying to push forward as well, because we wanted to push through, and they were still blocking this off. And one police officer approached me, and all I did was and this is how obviously Germans rally. All I did was I pushed him. I didn't touch him, right? All I did was telling him, this is my comfort zone, and you're not getting into my comfort zone. And then I said to him, you're not touching me. You are definitely not touching me. Go away. No, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you, but you have to leave. You have to, trying to push me back. And I was just standing there, and I said, you're not pushing me back at all. Why? I have a constitutional right to protest. I have a constitutional right to be here. And I can walk freely wherever I want to walk. Go away. So then he refused to go away, and all I did then, I was like, you know what? Who gives a shit? I don't care. And I walked to the side and moved forward a little bit. But then there was a second row of a front line, let's put it this way, but in a second row, and we were watching people trying to push through as well. And so we couldn't really get through from the Ottawa side. We witnessed already smashed windows from motorhomes, where the police were trying to get into motorhomes to move them out. And yeah, it was violent. It was no fun. And so lots of police violence. The protesters were absolutely incredible. They were really good. No violence, no nothing. It was peaceful. People were certainly kind of nervous, right? And they didn't know how to deal with this violence and this police force and that kind of stuff. It's intimidating, right? You stand there, there's a line of police people there and that kind of thing. But anyway, and it was freaking cold. Holy cow. It was so
yeah. It was definitely a true police force, wasn't it? I mean, we all saw, you probably saw what happened in Australia. That was just insane as well. We certainly saw the true colours of the police force. They certainly showed what they are really about now.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really trusts the police anymore, just like Big Pharma.
Yeah,
the world certainly changed, didn't it?
Oh, big time, yes. But then we decided to drive over to the Quebec side of Ottawa, and that's what we then did. And then we found a parking spot right at the end of a bridge that crosses over into or onto Parliament Hill. And that was actually kind of funny, because there were the cars parked with all kinds of signatures on their cars and fuck Trudeau and all that kind of stuff. So they were already parked there. So we were like, oh yeah, we are on the right spot here. So that was kind of fun. And then we crossed onto Parliament Hill, and we witnessed the most beautiful protest ever. It was really cool. It was really super. Yeah.
There's a number of people that went to that protest that was here. There was Sydney and Melbourne and Canberra. I think, oh gosh, how quickly the memory fades. Anyway, there was a lot of them. And just the general feel was just like, my best friend went, and she's still in awe of the whole. She just said it was the most incredible union of people and spirit. And she just, even to this day, she's still floating about it. It got violent and it was pretty awful in that respect, but she said it was just so, the people power was just so incredible, and just meeting people, talking to them and hugging them that you'd never seen before and never see again. And so I think it was really, for all the negatives, there was a lot of positives as well.
Oh yeah,
it really
absolutely.
United people. Well, divided people, but it also united. So
yeah, it was a big unification for sure. Absolutely, yeah. And when we had to deliver our $2,200 too, right? So this is why we made every effort to push through and to get through to the truckers. And when we finally then ended up being and finally arrived on Parliament Hill, and so we were knocking at the truckers, some of the truckers' doors, because we wanted to get rid of this money, and we chipped a little bit in there as well, right? So we topped it up the 2,200, and we didn't want to look ridiculous by giving, I don't know, $10 here and $20 there.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you divide that up?
Yeah, so we ended up giving $100. So it took us obviously not very far, but at least to some of the truckers. And so we knocked at their doors, and we told them that we have $100 for them from Vernon, British Columbia. You have, the moment we said that, you have absolutely no idea what happened. These people, these truckers, they started crying. They were in tears. They couldn't believe that this money traveled from British Columbia, from Vernon, British Columbia to Ottawa, Ontario. They really had absolutely they had no idea. And we had no idea what these guys were going through either, right? And they were in tears. They were crying. They were hugging us like you wouldn't believe. And it was beautiful. Anyway, so that was our story from that day. And then the next day, we witnessed obviously that Parliament Hill was already emptied out, so the truckers had to leave, and they moved the trucks out. And we were still protesting. We were about 2,000 people still protesting on Parliament Hill. There was one ridiculous front line this time, a police front line, which we easily could have pushed away, but Canadians are still, too friendly and too nice. I would not have been so nice. I would have just really but anyway, so it was but anyway, so this was what happened there. And we and this is my pictures that I took from that event, and I published a book. It's called The Trip.
All right. Well, we'll get you to if they're still available for order, we'll get you to give us that link, and if people want to have a look at that, I would like to have a look at it. We have a question here. Do you want to ask that question, Ashley? Jen?
Sure. I would love to. Yeah, this is from our friend Jen, a fellow Canadian, and his question was, he wanted to ask you, Bettina, about what you thought about the guys in the green jumpsuits. Do you think that they were foreign troops?
Yeah, I believe those were UN troops. And what we noticed was there was no badge number, there was no name, there was absolutely nothing on their uniforms. So I personally believe, and I discussed this with others too, we think those were UN troops.
Yeah, we had the same thing here. They were all dressed in black, actually, but clearly different from the usual police force. I was going to say thugs, but compared to these guys, they're just pussycats. But yeah, they were definitely not of our orientation, and they were almost robotic. So they've been heavily trained, psychologically trained as well. They were sort of unmovable, and they just wanted to cause trouble and be very, very, very violent. Awful. I mean, thinking back to some of the things that happened and some of the footage, and I mean, some of it wasn't legit. I think some of the footage and the events that went out there and were happening but regardless, there was a lot out there that was legit, and a lot of innocent people got very, very hurt. And I suspect probably not compensated for either. So it was just that they had to do it. I mean, the public was sort of ripe for something like this, and then of course, COVID was the perfect trigger for all that. But they had to come down hard, didn't they? Because they could see what was happening with people. People were uniting, and They can't have that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and they were
Yeah.
following orders, right? They were following orders. They did what they told and all that kind of stuff. That's exactly what happened during this COVID crap. Follow orders, no matter what it was. Even if it was a police officer, right, RCMP here in Canada, or even people, right, do what you've been told, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the UN factor, or having those foreign troops, whether it was UN or not, but I believe y'all, I think that that's accurate. But I think that adds another layer, not only to what Stella was saying, who knows what kind of training they had, right? Whether we're dealing with like hypnotic super soldiers or whatever, but we're still dealing with people that are disconnected from the population even further. So in a lot of cases, like, you have the thin blue line, right, in your country, and you don't cross the thin blue line or whatever, and you already have that divide between them and us. But then if you bring in militarized UN soldiers, they have absolutely no connection to the populace whatsoever, and they could be handpicked to be like the most disconnected from human empathy. Like, we don't actually know, but I think that really added to the brutality of what people experienced during the protests.
Yeah, that's right. And when you looked at their faces, and I mean, I was with my camera, right, and I was taking pictures and close-ups of these guys that are, building that front line. And the moment I focused right in someone's face, I had him on my right. All I had to do is release, and the moment I wanted to release, you could see actually that their faces and their eyes were moving away, right, to the side. So you really, they didn't really want you to look into their eyes. I believe they did know that that what they were doing was wrong. I kind of have that funny feeling. And like I say, the moment I released the shutter, or wanted to release the shutter, they didn't want to look straight into my lens, right? Focus into a lens. So that's obviously really, yeah, I kind of think that they kind of felt bad about it. I don't know. Maybe they're, who knows? You cannot look into someone's brain or head or whatever, right? We don't know what's going on in there.
I'd say they probably had the conscience beaten out of them at some point, or programmed out of them, or whatever.
Big time.
So, so these days you're spending your time in the Geoengineering Free Canada realm. How's that going?
Yes. Yeah. So after I left the World Wide Rally, I started another kind of nationwide rally. Was called the Ocean to Ocean Freedom Rally, and but the rallies then started already to kind of
dwindle
getting
a little
smaller
bit.
And smaller. And yeah, I mean, there are still some of them going on, and Kelowna still does have the rallies, but then I mean, it was kind of, it was not doing anything anymore. So I thought, and yeah, and the story to how this Geoengineering Free Canada started was, I was on a trip to Kelowna. Actually, I was driving the highway, and the photographers look up the sky, right? And they always do, right, Stella? We always look up the sky, and I noticed these, the trails and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, oh, that's weird, because this is so much more than I used to see them. And on my way down to Kelowna, I counted probably 35 plus of these weird things in the sky. And I was like, yeah, we should do something about this. And and then I phoned up a friend of mine in the Kootenays, which is in the east part of BC. So it's already it's a few hours away from me, but still, she's an absolutely incredible long-time activist as well for decades. She actually, together with her organization, they stopped the clear cutting here in that area. So big success for her, absolutely. And like I say, beautiful woman, and I love her to pieces. And I phoned her up and I said, hey, we got to do something about it. What do you think? And she said, instantly, I'm in. So we founded Geoengineering Free Canada, and had absolutely no clue what we were doing. seriously, absolutely no idea about geoengineering. We did then start our research. We founded that organization because we wanted.
When was this, Bettina? Sorry to interrupt. When was that?
That was
What
in
year?
September, October of 2022.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, 2022. Yes, and like I say, absolutely zero idea what we were doing. And then my friend, she tracked down climateviewer.com, Jim Lee's website, and then we started researching his website, and we were absolutely blown away from that. What you can find on this website. We were just, oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
What the heck are we doing here?
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, if you haven't been to climateviewer.com yet, people, please do yourself a favour and trundle on along and just have a look, because not only are they some of the best websites on the internet, because they've just been really well constructed, and Jim knows what he's doing. He does them all himself. He's a coder from a long time, way back. But there's just so much information on there. It's just anything you could possibly think of to ask, I can guarantee it's on there, probably a number of times. And he also has weathermodificationhistory.com, I think it is. Not sure about that.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's also a mind blower, because this stuff has been going on since, basically the 1800s. It sort of started, really, the concept of, and very crude geoengineering, but it's quite incredible how long it's been going and how much history there is that's been recorded. So, encourage people to go along there and have a bit of a read. But Jim's very much highly respected, well, by some people anyway. In this movement, he is the go-to guy. He's got all the receipts, and he's got an incredible knowledge of all the issues, and he's got a very good memory. So. He remembers the details, and he's got the gift of the gab, so he's the guy. And he's also backed by a pretty good team of researchers, and he's got a good support system around him.
Hey, really quick, we have a quick question from Jen. He's getting ready to take off, but he wanted to ask, David Ebby, how bad does Bettina believe the foreign interference is in BC in particular, or Canada more broadly?
David Eby is that's our premier. That's how we pronounce it. So he's the head of BC. Very evil guy, absolutely incredibly evil, and I believe that he is. He brought in the. He's heavily supporting the immigration. He's pro-immigration, let's put it this way. And when you look at the Okanagans specifically, and I am from the Okanagan, the Okanagan is not the Okanagan anymore that when I moved to the Okanagan, it's not the same anymore. Every single gas station, every little store, even the big stores like Staples. Staples is a big office supply. I don't know if you guys know that. So it's called Staples. People from the States know Staples as well. There's Home Depot. All these, even the big stores are run by East Indians now. And that's huge. That's huge in the Okanagan. And I see that comment here, 100% British imperialist, big time. I can support that 100%. Yeah, it's big. Yeah, he's definitely like complete demographic change. Yes.
Yeah. It's all lockstep. I mean, Canada, Australia, UK, New Zealand, and America. The Five Eyes, the echelon, and we seem to be all fairly in lockstep, all very, very similar things going on, and it's almost like, well, we'll do this thing in Canada and we'll do that thing in Australia, and it's all very testy, you know what I mean? So we're all kind of, because I mean there are some places which aren't actually, this stuff isn't really going on because they're just not having it, but we never get to really hear about that. So we're heavily under the thumb.
Big time. Yeah.
So,
anyway, Stella, go ahead.
No, that's all right. So, the geoengineering, we're trying to, but there's lots of fights, isn't there? Because there's the fight against the actual, carrying out of these ridiculous ideas of due to climate change, so to speak, like the actual geoengineering. And then there's the unintentional geoengineering that is happening through just, flights, aviation industry, and military, of course. And then the other fight is trying to dispel the myths and all the fear-mongering that's going on with several groups. Some of it is because they just don't quite understand what they're talking about. And, of course, then the other ones are due to controlled, mudslingers and people in there trying to, cause trouble and what have you, break everything apart.
Chaos agents.
Mislead people. Yeah, misinformation and making money from it. Lots of people just piggybacking and parasiting. But so there's quite a few fights, isn't there? My focus kind of shifted away from them and more towards just trying to get people to figure out the truth from the myths and the fear.
Yeah, that's
pretty
true.
hard, isn't it?
Yeah, there's lots of fear mongering, and social media might be a good thing for us here. Look at how we get, connect the world. We are here. I'm here in Canada. There's US. There is Australia. And I'm certainly still connected to Germany and all that kind of stuff. So it's social media, and at some point does make sense, but it doesn't make sense when there is fear mongering going on, and when these weird things get shared. And just a few days ago, a friend of mine sent me a picture of, Trump is putting together a task force, and this is Nuremberg 2.0 and 2.0, and oh my gosh, people. I mean, why the heck would he even send this to me? I mean, if you are halfway, understanding or understand what geoengineering is most people don't even understand it. I mean, I'm far away from being an expert. I really am. I'm not an expert whatsoever, but I did learn a lot by focusing really specifically to that topic. I don't do anything else. There's lots of other groups that do their SOGI stuff. There's other groups that do this, and there are other groups that do that. I don't do all that kind of stuff. I understand it. Understand in terms of I know that's going on, and I appreciate the group is, do your thing, but do not think now that geoengineering is in everybody's mouth. And it became so popular, that term, all of a sudden, nobody is talking climate change anymore. Climate change became boring. Now it's geoengineering, and everybody is saying, this is geoengineering. What do you know about geoengineering? Can you explain that to me? Can you explain what geoengineering is? And as soon as you get into that, then people, they get offensive, and then they start attacking you and all that kind of stuff. Whoa, this is what's going on, I think, and when we started Geoengineering Free Canada, like I say, and I totally admit this, I had no clue what I was talking about, seriously. And then once we found Jim, and I emailed Jim, and I said, hey, would you be interested in helping us? That kind of thing. He instantly got back to me, and he said, what am I supposed to do? I'm in. And I went, woo, okay, well, that's interesting. And then and since then, we are in daily contact. We talk a lot, and he taught me so much, and I still learn so much about geoengineering. Whenever you go on a show with him, there's always something new. What the hell?
Yeah. I know, and there's never any pregnant pauses or anything like that. It's just information. Churn out. It's quite incredible. Yeah, you're right, Sherry. It's not just the lines in the sky. Geoengineering covers a huge gamut of all sorts of psychotic projects. Ashley, did you have something?
I do. I had a question. So if we're talking, because I know that Stella and yourself, Bettina, are very well versed in this, and I know that it's something that you dig into and you're very involved in. But let's say that you are more of a lay person. I'm not including Perm here, but certainly I am. Stella knows where I'm at on this stuff. So could y'all give us an overall of, like, I know there's a lot to it, but of the big misconception. If I'm talking to you guys and I'm like, well, I was on Twitter and this account said ABC, and they were doing the fear mongering thing, and they were saying it's definitely spraying, they're definitely doing this, they're definitely controlling that. Can y'all give us an overview of how that type of thinking is maybe not helpful, and maybe how to reframe that for what is actually happening?
Well, if you ask me, I have a 25-minute introduction video about geoengineering. So it's on my website, geoengineeringfreecanada.com, under the section videos. It's the first one on the top left, I believe, and it's kind of a primer. It's a very, very simple explanation, geoengineering in a nutshell, because Stella was so right. It's a very complex and very sometimes even difficult to understand topic. It's very technical, and maybe sometimes over people's heads, because that's, when you do not dig into this enough and you don't like the topic, then you're easily get caught by this fear stuff, right? And that is certainly something that people should understand. There is a lot of fear going on, and fear is not a good advisor, right? We know that. We learned that especially over the last 5 years. So I do have that little primer. So I would like to encourage people to look at it. It was a simple presentation I put together, and then I took a video, made a video out of it. And so to explain what geoengineering is, there is three methods of geoengineering. It's the solar radiation management, it's the carbon dioxide removal, and it's earth radiation management. And I explain to people what are these methods. So what do they do? How can you explain them? Definition type thing. And then what is the technology to solar radiation management? Because so many people confuse everything. That is solar radiation management. Is it really solar radiation management? For example, SAI, solar stratospheric aerosol injection, is a technology for solar radiation management. So the over thing here, the top thing is solar radiation management, and the technology to solar radiation management is stratospheric aerosol injection. So, and then, you have to maybe really guide people from, this is the definition of the three methods, and then what is the technology that supports, or is that this method, right? What's the technology linked to that method? So that's what I did with that little thingy here. It's 25 minutes long, and hopefully this will help people to really just understand the surface. We are touching here the surface. There's not in depth. It's just a nutshell thing. Maybe that will help people to understand more, that this is not about the lines in the skies only. There is so much more that geoengineering is, actually. Yeah. And maybe that will help. I don't know. It's just a suggestion.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll definitely be checking your video out. My background's in aviation, and I have degrees in air traffic control and airline dispatch. And as recently as like 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, these morons don't know anything about contrails. They're just crazy conspiracy theorists, even though I don't use that term because I was already awake of a lot of things by then. And then being friends with Stella over the past 4 or 5 years, like, I've been awakened to a lot more going on in the skies than just normal contrails. So I'll definitely be watching your video to get a better breakdown of what's going on.
Yeah, a lot of it is, it's hard to sort of explain all this stuff in a few minutes, although, Jim did a pretty good job the other day, didn't he, with that panel. But it is very complex and very multi-leveled, and a lot of the fear-mongering and it's almost like people get caught in a rip, like a social media rip, and they're just flowing along, and they sort of forget to think. Like, I don't mean this in a nasty way, but people do forget to question and think about things that they're passing on. It just becomes almost habitual. And as you say, Bettina, as soon as you start questioning them on things, that's when it all kind of falls apart and they go, oh, I've got to go now. Or they start, ad hominems start being thrown or what have you. So it's just a lack of understanding, really, because, the common thing is, weather control. They can control hurricanes, and HARP is doing things and making all these weird clouds in the sky. And, a lot of the times those clouds are just natural weird clouds because they do exist. And you can even look back into paintings from the 16th and 17th century and see those clouds painted into paintings. So it's just a matter of, it's a lack of understanding. And the problem is that people are busy, and it does take time, and it takes dedication and a lot of brain power to really sort this stuff out. So really, if you don't know what you're talking about, just shut up. Stop with the fear stuff, because take the time, don't just swipe. But that's what we're trying to do, because really the only way to get through to some of these people and not only stop the fear, but maybe make some changes, is through education. It's the only way. So sort of that's what we're kind of trying to do from all different angles. I've got my Whether or Not show with Jeff, the meteorological forensics expert. And you've got your thing, and Jim's got his stuff, and everybody's there supporting each other. And, if you want to come and join the Telegram chat, the Climate Viewer Telegram chat, there's lots and lots of information in there. Ed is in there. He's always churning out amazing research papers and things. He's the man with the shovel, the golden shovel. So it's just a matter of education and learning that a lot of these technologies that people talk about, that they say steer things, they just, if you start to look at them, you start to understand that, NEXRAD radars, for instance, they don't have much power at all. It's like about as much as your microwave oven. That's not steering a hurricane. So it's just, again, it's just a matter of taking time and trying to understand and learn. So it will dispel a lot of fear when people start to figure out the myths from the truth.
And I have a quick question from Rumble over here. So I want to shout out our friends on Rumble. Right now we have Knights of the Storm and Birdhouse Blues. And thanks everybody over in the YouTube chat as well. We appreciate you tuning in. So here's the question from Knights of the Storm. He said, I keep seeing people claim HARP is being used to spread out the SAI. I don't see how that's scientifically possible. Any thoughts from your guest?
Well, you need to understand what HARP is. HARP is an ionospheric heater. So, and when you look at the Earth's layers, so here we are. We are on the ground. We've got our mountains. We've got our beautiful clouds. This is called troposphere. And then there is a tiny little layer between the troposphere and the stratosphere, which is the next highest level or higher level, which is the tropopause. Then it's going into the stratosphere, and then it's going up and up and up. So there, between the stratosphere and the mesosphere, there is this the stratopause, and then like I say, then there's the mesosphere and all that kind of stuff. So you have different layers around the Earth, and in my world, the Earth is round. Anyway, so there's these layers.
Sorry about the trigger, people.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not going into that debate, but this is just my world. Okay. All right. So my picture of the Earth is round. Anyway, so we've got these different layers, and the mesosphere, and what's the next layer above the mesosphere? Thermosphere, exactly. Those two, they create the ionosphere. Those two are the ionosphere. So HARP is down here on our level in the troposphere, sending the frequencies out into the ionosphere and heating the ionosphere. So the stratosphere is way below. So we are tens of thousands of kilometers out here, right? So this is why HARP cannot even steer anything. It's just way up there. It's got nothing to do with that at all.
It's also a very, very small beam as well. It's not like a great big huge wide thing.
Yeah.
So Yeah, and the stratospheric aerosol injection, that's like basically sulfur. They're sort of spraying sulfur and to reflect the sunlight. I still can't get over that. It just sounds so stupid, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
anyway, all this stuff sounds so stupid. I mean, the whole carbon dioxide collecting thing, how stupid. It's just so dumb. And people fall for this stuff. It's like, I can't believe it's gone this far, but then you've got the wind and everything as well. So, but yeah, there is a number of things going on. I mean, they're doing marine cloud brightening as well, which is basically spraying salt up into well, I think that's just into the troposphere, isn't it? Because it doesn't go very high.
Yeah.
That's, same thing to reflect the sun, brighten the sun, or
Yeah.
brighten the sky and the clouds. So there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on. I think there's also I feel like there's a few red herring type projects as well that are sort of made to keep us all busy and running around, flapping our arms. I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but I do feel that there are a few out there just keeping us occupied and keeping our eyes off, some of the things that actually probably we should be looking at.
Yeah. There's also distraction, right? And by the way, Stella mentioned something, and she said whitening the sky. This is geoengineering, making the sky white, milky white. That is geoengineering.
Yeah, and the aviation industry is just doing that anyway and it's not like they're not setting out to do it, even though some people say they are, but it's just a part of the planes flying in a certain zone where the temperature and the moisture levels, combine at a certain altitude, and we can see the exhaust coming out of the jets, which is always there. It's just that sometimes the conditions make them visible. And so then they start to spread out and they turn into cirrus clouds. And then, of course, that becomes the milky veil over the sky, which nobody wants. But, and then you try to talk about things like, well, what's the solution? And it's like there's just so many more flights these days. I mean, there's more and more all the time. And, the airline industry dropped their prices a few years ago. And, of course, everybody flies everywhere now. And then when you start talking about solutions, which is, I mean, what are the solutions? The solutions will have to be either clean up the fuel, which is going to be extremely difficult to achieve because a lot of it's based on the dollar. And, you have to have certain additives in fuel for it to make the plane stay up in the air, to make the motors work properly, etc. So, unfortunately, the byproduct is exhaust, which we, joins up and creates this veil in the sky. So, all we can really do is keep raising awareness and keep on the backs of the airline industry. I mean, theoretically, we should all sort of maybe think twice about flying and do we need to take that trip? But then you start getting on board with the whole UN agenda and you get blamed for saying, oh, you're trying to push the whole UN green agenda and all this. It's like, no, we're not. Well, what do you want? Do you want to stop the lines or, because all these people are complaining about the lines in the sky, but then they complain about the solutions as well. So what are you going to do? Huh?
Yeah. Well, you're so right, Stella. It's about education. It's about information and, raising awareness. And what we do, and you see this here in my fancy background, so we do certain things. We started monthly calls, Zoom calls as well with experts, and we interviewed really the top of the top. And I'm so thrilled that next week on the 15th, we have a really very special guest. I mean, all my guests are special, but this is, and the reason why I'm saying that is because he is a member of the CO2 Coalition. And the CO2 Coalition, these people have absolutely zero idea about geoengineering. They do not connect carbon dioxide with geoengineering. But we, geoengineering people, we do because of carbon dioxide removal. So the geoengineering aspect of carbon dioxide. So, but we certainly want to know more about carbon dioxide itself, so that we have a little bit more that we can share, and we have more information. So this man, his name is David Hilderman, and he's a member of the CO2 Coalition, will join us on the 15th to talk about CO2, obviously carbon dioxide, and the net zero hoax. So we're going to learn a lot more, and then we hopefully together we can build that bridge from geoengineering to CO2 and from CO2 to geoengineering. I'm very, very thrilled that this man will join us and will share his information with us. I like I say, all my guests are super special, but this is different this time because it's a completely two different worlds that come together, and we will talk about carbon dioxide this time. Beautiful.
Yeah, building bridges. Mm-hmm. That's good. How can people join? Is that free to join, Bettina? Are people able to? They don't have to be like a paying member or anything like that, like some.
Not at all. Whatever we do is free of charge. We share the link on Substack. We do have it on our website under upcoming events. There's a few things that are upcoming. I do in-person events as well. Next, the coming Saturday, I will present to. It looks like it's going to be a bigger crowd as well here in a rural area, which I'm kind of thrilled to share my knowledge and my information that I have about geoengineering to a community that is different from the city community as well, because it affects their crops. It does affect their activities down here, which is, like I say, completely different crowd this time. And so this is an in-person event. I have another in-person event coming up in Vernon, again, an hour north of Kelowna. So I did already travel the province quite a bit. So I traveled from Kelowna to Vernon to Vancouver Island, and all over the place to raise awareness about geoengineering. And yeah, and I hope that I got better too over the last years. And I'm really, really, really thrilled that I had so many incredible guests on my show, and including Jim Lee for sure. I interviewed Alana Freeland, and I interviewed Nikki Florio from Be Heroic, all these really top of the top activists, anti-geoengineering activists. I'm thrilled, and I'm so proud, and I'm honored that I can safely say that I'm friends with these people. So I'm really happy about that. Very happy.
It's a pretty powerful crew. Yep. Ashley.
Quick question. The information because Stella had shared with us beforehand, your Substack and your YouTube page, is that information essentially the same, just depending on whatever platform that person prefers? Or is there like a lot of separate information on those platforms?
Well, the geoengineering, the Substack for us is linked to the website. The website is linked to Substack. So all the information you find on Substack is on the website, and the website information, well, certainly not website information, but links or anything that is also on Substack. So it's it's all linked. YouTube, our YouTube channel certainly is obviously, well, sort of disconnected. So I don't do live streams. That I don't know how to do that. So it's not. But I record the sessions. I record the interviews, and then I upload them onto our YouTube and Rumble, by the way. So I have a backup here too. So I'm not only on YouTube, because you never know, right? Yeah. So this is how we operate. That's who we are.
All right. Fantastic. Well, we're going to leave all the links in the show notes as usual. Ashley, would you mind just popping that Substack in the personal notes there, that Substack link into Rumble for me?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about, Bettina, while you're here? Because I think we've covered a fair whack of what you're all about, and people can obviously go and join the website or the Substack and read a little bit more. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about?
All I can say, maybe, I don't know if this is a final remark or something. All I can say, people, please don't be shy. Step up, join us so that we can come out stronger. We can do a lot more research, throw things at us. It's fine to email us. It is totally fine to share stuff in the comments, wherever you think you want to, share things with us. So this, we need support. We need help. I just started a newspaper. I wanted to come out with a newspaper, something completely offline this time. And I need support. I need help. I need, I need sponsors. I need a printer, all that kind of stuff. All these little things. A volunteer, maybe help me out with that. I don't know. This is what we need. This is how you can help us activists to come out stronger and to share more information and raise even more awareness.
Yeah, it doesn't come cheap, does it? I mean, all this stuff does, we choose to do it, and we, donate our time and our funding, but it does sort of start to add up a little bit, especially if we've got websites and things. Even just hosting that is fairly pricey every year. Mm-hmm. So all that sort of help is appreciated, but even just even some ears, that's also support, and ask questions,
Yeah.
Get it in your head. Get it straight.
Yeah.
All right.
We like to hear we love you as well.
Yeah. Keep it up. Good show, chaps. All right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything here. Do you guys have any more questions or anything for Bettina?
I wanted to mention one thing I thought was interesting. You guys were talking about the guys in the green jumpsuits earlier at the trucker protest. And I was trying to rack my brain to remember what they looked like. So I Googled guys in the green jumpsuits at the Ottawa trucker protest, and nothing like that came up at all. So I changed my search to UN soldiers at trucker protest in Ottawa, and dozens of pictures of guys in green jumpsuits showed up. So
yeah, right.
I think you're probably right.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely what happened. It was a global police force forcing their policing.
Trial balloon, my opinion.
Yeah, yep. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Bettina. It's been lovely to have you here and hearing all about your wonderful journey through activism. And thank you for what you do, and keep it up. I hope you do get more support, and we just got to keep at it. Just persist. Keep plodding on, trucking on.
Yeah, we keep a persistent trail.
Yeah, that's right. Just make ourselves spread out.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
It was nice meeting you, Bettina. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you as well. And thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yep, we'll have all those links in the show notes. And, of course, my Whether or Not show is on Stella Q Australia on YouTube, that channel. I haven't got my butt into gear yet and put it onto other platforms, but I'll get there at some point. I don't care about algorithms and stuff. And Ashley, where on earth could you find Union of the Unknowns?
Well, Stella, I'm glad you asked.
I almost said Union of the Onions.
We don't know them, but maybe we can become friends with the onions.
Peel back some layers.
They can find us at unionoftheunknowns.com. That's our Linktree page with all the myriad ways to get in touch with us. Back to you, Stella.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us here today, everybody in the chat and Rumble and anywhere else that happens to be listening. And thanks, Ashley and Perm, also for being here. And until next time, take care, everyone. Look up, but keep your feet on the ground. Thanks very much, all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Union of the Unknowns. You can find new episodes every week on all your favorite podcasting networks.